Public comment information. All comments may be submitted to publiccomment@munster.us. The board will review these at a later date. Consent agenda, Mr. Trippenfeldis.
Dr. Schwartzwolf, I apologize, but I have to switch back and forth. The microphone is sharing.
That's okay.
So I'll share my screen again. The consent agenda items are going to include, and I will share one more time with you for that. The minutes of the regular board meeting of April 13th, 2020. Item 2.2, the approval of the accounts payable voucher register. The approval of the switchback account voucher register, item 2.3, and item 2.4, the approval of the personnel report. And I will share with you the minutes, which was 2.1. There's no item for 2.2 and 2.3, but 2.4 is the personnel report, which shows the retirements of bus driver, resignations of 2 teaching positions, 3 teaching positions, and then 4 extracurricular positions. 3 leaves of absence for the next school year. 1 leave of absence for this year that is amended and changed, so we're going to reapprove those amendments. And then 1 recommendation for employment for next school year, and then 5 recommendations for employment for the summer work group.
All right, is there any discussion? Mr. Trippenfeldis?
The administration would recommend that the board approve the consent agenda items 2.1 through and including 2.4 as presented.
I would request that we remove item 2.4 from the consent agenda and vote on it separately, please.
Okay, so I will, my recommendation then would be to approve the consent agenda items 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3 as presented.
Okay.
So we need action to vote for that.
John Doherty,
2.4.
Melissa Higginson, second.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Okay, Melissa, you can call the vote.
Okay. John Castro.
Aye.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Melissa Higginson. Aye. Rhonda Stojic.
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartzwolf.
Aye. Motion carries.
Aye.
Thank you, Melissa. Can I get a motion to approve the personnel report, item 2.4?
John Castro.
Stojic.
Go ahead, Ron.
Go ahead, John.
Oh,
Stojic, so moved that we approve 2.4, approval of the personnel report.
John Castro, I second.
Okay, Melissa, can we get a roll call or any other discussion? I'm sorry, on personnel. Hearing none, can we get a roll call?
John Castro.
Aye.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Melissa Higginson. Aye. Rhonda Stojic.
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartzwolf.
I abstain. Motion carries 4-1. Action item 4.1, donations.
Before, excuse me, Miss
Yes.
Madam President, it'd be 401 abstain.
All right. Yes, thank you. First time abstaining, yes. 401, thank you for the correction. Item 3.1, under donations. Can I get a motion to approve donations as presented?
I move the donations to accept the donation recommendation as presented. John Doherty. John Castro, I second.
Thank you. And any discussion? Would you like to present the donations?
Yeah, I would show you on your screens. You should see the donations that Mr. Wells had for Munster High School for the band, the Paragon yearbook, and football. All 2 from the Munster Education Foundation and 1 from the Vicky Martinson in the name of Robert Butkus. And then the other donation is for $100,000 from Joe Mansueto $50,000 towards an incubator and a makerspace at Munster High School, and another $50,000 to the speech and debate program at Munster High School.
Very nice. Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, Mrs. Higgison, if you can roll call.
John Castro. John Castro.
Aye, sorry, I must have been muted.
John Doherty. You're muted, John. John Doherty.
We might have lost him.
I think he's just muted. Are you muted? No.
It says on, no, it says he's not.
Aye.
Okay, gotcha. Melissa Higgison, aye. Rhonda Stojek. Ingrid Schwartz-Wolf.
Aye. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Action item 3.2, policy revisions. Can I get a motion to approve the policy revisions as presented at the April 30th, 2020 public work session?
John
Melissa Higgison, so moved.
John Castro, second.
And any discussion?
We discussed these already at the work session, correct?
Yes, and you should see on your screens now, it's policy 3362.01 and 4362.01. You'll see the only change which we discussed at that work session is listed in green there. It just talks about where you will go to find the directions on how to issue a no trespass warning. So 3362 is up and agreeable, now 4362 is one minor change of both just one sentence added in.
Any other discussion? Okay, Mrs. Higgison, please call for a vote.
John Castro.
Aye.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Melissa Higgison, aye. Rhonda Stojek. Ron.
Ron, you're muted.
Slight delay.
Ron, you're muted. Ron.
Aye. Sorry.
Hi. Okay, good. Ingrid Schwartz-Wolf.
Aye.
Excellent.
Motion
Great job,
carries
team.
5-0. To the public, we do apologize, technical difficulties. Action item 3.3, transfer tuition rates for the 2021 school year. And get a motion to approve transfer tuitions for 2021 school year as presented.
Rhonda Stojek, so moved.
Second, Melissa Higgison.
And any discussion?
These are based off calculations on a state form, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, you use your Form 9 and your Form 515.
Thank you.
Mr. Melton, can you explain how inflation is great?
I think I heard most of you, this is our 2021 transfer tuition rates. These are the initial rates. These rates will be finalized by November 1st. These rates do not include book rental, student fees, or any other costs associated with normal attendance. The rates are based off of Form 9 and State Form 515.
Any other discussion? Mrs. Higgison, please make a roll call.
John Castro.
Aye.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Melissa Higgison, aye. Rhonda Stojek.
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartz Wolf.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Action item 3.4, the board meeting schedule for 2021. Can I get a motion to approve the board meeting schedule for 2021 as presented?
I move that the board schedule for 2021 to approve as presented.
Rana Stojic, second.
And any discussion? I think they said they did move the November meeting, just in case, just wondering, it's the third Monday of the month because the financial group has a meeting the week before and it would make it very hard for them to be ready for our board meeting on that Monday, the 9th. So they asked to move it to the 16th.
Correct, that's the Idaho State Convention.
I knew it was some convention. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, and Mrs. Higgison?
John Castro.
Aye.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Melissa Higgison, aye. Rana Stojic.
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartz Wolf.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Action item 3.5, the award bid for the 2020 network cabling. Can I get a motion to approve the bid for 2020 network cabling as presented?
Melissa Higgison, so moved.
Rana Stojic, second.
Okay, and then is there a presentation or a discussion?
Yes, as we have said in previous meetings, we are working to build our technology infrastructure. I will pass this on to Jamie Lake to go over further. Jamie, are you there?
Yes, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, on April 28th at 1 p.m., we received 6 bids for the network cabling project at Wilbur Wright Middle School. The low bid was ATN Technology of Crown Point. We had an alternate number 1 to take a deduct for all the IP speakers to give the school the opportunity to see if we can get them less expensive directly. Yannick did do that, so he is going to purchase those on your behalf directly. So we're taking the alternate number 1, which brings the base bid project to $208,294. That does include a $10,000 contingency allowance. So that is the recommendation, is to take ATN Technology. We're very pleased with the bid results.
Are you ready for a roll? Oh, you're muted. Ingrid, you're muted.
Yep, Ingrid's muted. Oh, Ingrid,
How's
Ingrid,
that?
you're unmuted now.
All right. Yes, Mrs. Higgison, can you do the roll call?
Okay. John Castro.
Aye.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Melissa Higgison, aye. Rana Stojic.
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartz Wolf.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Action item 3.6, award quote for Wilbur Wright Middle School IT telecom room. Can I get a motion to approve the bid for the 2020 the IT telecom room as presented?
Rana Stojic, so moved.
Melissa Higgison.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Melissa Higgison, second.
And discussion or information?
Yes, the IT room will help facilitate the needs of our students. These rooms will be sized accordingly to the port capacity, density of the given coverage area, as well as allow us to consolidate today's 8 rooms down to 5. All right, I'm hoping you're individual letters were sent to all 3 participants. We received back letters from all 30. Our recommendation is going with all around remodeling and repair, which was the lowest quote.
Any other questions or discussions? Okay, Mrs. Higgison, let's call for a vote.
John Castro,
Aye.
John Doherty,
Aye.
Melissa Higgison, aye. Rhonda Stojic,
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartz-Wolf.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Action item 3.7. Can I get a motion to approve delegating of pool deck bids as presented?
John Castro, so moved.
John Doherty, second.
And any discussion?
Again, this is a timing issue. We are trying to repair the tiles on the deck of the pool. Those quotes will be coming in after this meeting. We didn't feel we could wait a whole another month to get things moving. We want to get this deck repaired while
Mr. Melby, do we have any idea approximately how much this would be?
Yes, my original numbers, we're going to come in significantly lower. I believe it's going to be around $140,000 to repair the entire pool deck of all those broken tiles.
Okay. And we think this will be done this soon, as the pool's not being used right now anyway?
Right. This will expedite that because now you're given approval for Dr. Hendricks to approve the lowest bid that comes in. As soon as we approve that, then we can start the process of getting it done. They're saying it's going to take approximately 30 days to complete the entire pool deck.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Melby.
And expediting this, so if we're able to finish this earlier and the governor does open the pool back up, this will allow students to get back in?
Correct.
Very good. Any other questions? Okay, Mrs. Higgison.
John Castro. John Castro.
Aye.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Melissa Higgison, aye. Rhonda Stojic.
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartz-Wolf.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Action item 3.8, the change order for the 2020 turf fields. Can I get a motion to approve the change order 01-2020 turf fields as presented?
So moved, Rhonda Stojic.
John Doherty, second.
And any discussion?
I'll hand this over to Jamie Lake. As you know, we are working on our turf fields and they're almost completed, and I'll pass it on to Jamie Lake.
Great, thank you. As you know, our base bid included a $1,000 contingency allowance. We were very fortunate. We did not run into any subsurface issues that needed to us to spend that, so we are crediting back that unspent contingency allowance to lower the cost of the project by $10,000. It's always a good note to end on.
That's great, Jamie. Thank you.
Yes, agreed. Thank you very much. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, Mrs. Higgison, roll call.
John Castro.
Aye.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Rhonda Stojic.
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartz-Wolf.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Now it's 5-0. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm in now.
Change the order on me. Now,
sorry.
Action item 3.9, engagement letter from Munster from Jeff Qualkenbush. Can I get a motion to approve the engagement letter, Munster from Jeff Qualkenbush, as presented?
So moved, Rhonda Stojic.
John Castro, second.
And any discussion?
This is just the engagement letter, as you said, for Jeff Qualkenbush to be our bond counsel on our taxable and non-taxable GO bonds.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, Mrs. Higgison?
John Castro.
Aye.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Melissa Higgison. Aye. Rhonda Stojic.
Aye.
Ingrid Schwartzwolf.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Woo, we made it through the voting. Okay, item 4.1, textbook fees for 2020-21 school year. Anybody presenting on that tonight?
Yes. Hi, this is Dr. Stokes. So we do.
Hi, Dr. Stokes.
Hi there.
Yvonne?
Hey, how are you? So we do have textbook fees just to discuss tonight if needed. And we do have Mike Wells as well as Morgan Nolan available to discuss the secondary. And if needed, I will discuss elementary. So if you want to put up the elementary for me, please. Well, I will say while he's trying to put up the elementary information, for elementary fees this year, there were a couple changes, but there was nothing that would be technically impactful except for the fact that we had to have K through 4 one-to-one computing next year. So as such, there is an increase in textbook fees for elementary students because of the charge for the computer device. So that would be the only thing that would be impactful, other than we also have the information about our special needs students. Because we're not a part of Westlake anymore, there was some fee changes with regards to how we support our students with unique learning systems. And if you have questions around that, Jo is on the line and she can give you information about that if needed.
Dr. Stokes, did you say that we were going to be giving devices to students younger than 5th grade?
Yes, I did. There is a chart in here for one-to-one devices for students in K through 4.
Okay. What kind of devices will we be using for K through 4?
I believe the devices that were selected are iPads.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So then I guess if there are other questions about elementary, we could move then if need be to secondary. And I know it's not on the screen, but if you have any questions about middle or high school, we do have Morgan Nolan available and of course Mike Wells. I can chime in and say that for the most part, our fees have not changed for secondary in light of COVID-19 and our inability to really be able to connect face to face. We did find it best to implement the fee charges that we utilize and that were approved by our board attorney last year. However, I will be working with our board attorney, Angela Jones, and if there are any things that we feel need to be slightly altered based on COVID-19 and just other needs for students, we will be making those changes before the final approval in June.
And Dr. Stokes, I did want to add, we do not have those fees available for the public. They are available for the board to review, but they are not final, so they're not available to the public at this time. So I cannot call them up because I have the public view, but they have been presented to the board members to review before next month, so they can see those, and then they'll be posted next month when they become, if there's any revisions have to be done when they become finalized.
Thank you. So that is pretty much what I have to share. If there are any questions, then I'm willing to answer those, or I'm sure Mike or Morgan can assist.
Okay, no other questions for Dr. Stokes. Thank you, Dr. Stokes.
You're welcome.
Item 4.2, the handbooks, 2021 school year.
The handbooks are rather lengthy. They are on the website and the board members can access them. This is not going to be approval, but you will see that if there's any revisions, deletions will be in red and additions will be in green. So we're asking that the board review them at the elementary, middle school, and high school over the next month. If you have any comments or questions, please direct them directly to the building principals. Nikki Guernsey was handling the elementary revisions. Obviously, Mr. Nolan, the Wilbur Wright Middle School revisions. And Munster High School was handling obviously was handled by Mr. Wells and Mr. Clark. We were going to try to have them share, but the sound in this meeting it's poor. So it's there for the public and the board to review. So we will just have them there and we can discuss further things next month, maybe when we can possibly meet in person. If not, we'll have a better system with this. So, but they're up there for your review. And if you have any questions or comments, please contact one of those three people with anything you have for them. They can hopefully address those for the board. You're muted, Ingrid. We have to mute people when they're not talking because the sound gets bad.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Trippenfeldis. Director of Financial Operations Report, item 5.1. Mr. Melby.
Okay, we are definitely keeping a close look at our financials. Obviously, with the pandemic, it's going to have a great impact moving forward. But in the month of April, it didn't have that big of an impact. If you look at our numbers in the education fund, we're right about where we projected we would be. Our revenue was about $500,000 more than our expenses total. Our basic grant did go down slightly because our February count was a little bit lower than our September count. We knew that was going to happen. We accounted for that. You will see something that's a little bit different than normal in our expenditure side. You will see $0 for paying for subs. Obviously, since we're not in the buildings, we're not paying for subs there. And you will see our payroll for non-certified drop drastically because of spring break. And you'll also note that we did put $100,000 from our education fund into the rainy day fund as we plan to get ready for the future. In our operations fund, we are slightly ahead of where we projected we would be right now. Again, our revenue is larger than our expenses slightly. Again, you will see a decrease in the non-certified because of spring break. One thing I do want to point out, you will see an increase in our supplies expenses. Obviously, we are loading up on cleaning supplies and things that we need because of what's going on in the world today. In our referendum fund, again, the same story. We do see a decrease in our non-certified payroll. You'll also see nothing for subs in that expense category, and we are slightly ahead of where we wanted to be at this point in time. But again, we know moving forward, things are going to change, and we're going to make sure we get as much information as we can and react to it and modify these cash sheets as the time comes.
Thank you, Mr. Melby. Are there any further questions for Mr. Melby?
Mr. Melby, this is John Castro. I had a quick question. As we're looking forward, I know you guys are keeping your eye on the ball every day. There's changes constantly. Do you feel that one fund might be under more duress than another particular fund as we look forward, just because of changes that may occur at the state level, tax funding, things of that nature?
That's a great question. I think we knew in 2020 with the fiscal cliff that our operations fund was going to take a significant hit or receive less revenue as expected. But that's why the board and the superintendent took those plans to build up the fund as much as we could so we could sustain this year. So we're in a position about where we thought we would be, but the operations fund would be the one moving forward with the circuit breaker that's going to have an effect on it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Melby? All right, thank you, Mr. Melby. I know you have been working extra hard lately, day to day, figuring out what's going on with the finances. So we really appreciate the extra time and effort.
It's been a team effort. Everybody that's in my group, they're great people. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 6.1, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to talk about the construction projects. Of course, as we all know, another summer of construction's going on. If you've been out behind the middle school, you'll notice that our new building now has the structural steel up. So we have that backbone getting ready to, and they'll now start to add more to the building. So that's exciting. to see that. Hopefully the rain will hold off and they can do a little bit more without having to deal with that every day. The construction folks have had a meeting to talk about the the high school south project. We're getting ready to embark on that. That's going to be the upgrades to the south classrooms. That'll be the univentilators, univents, and also carpeting, cabinetry. All those things are going to get going. So that should be kicking off soon. They've been making a lot of progress at Elliott Elementary School, putting in the univents there, and that's going well. And of course, the middle school, I believe they've been working on lockers and painting and flooring and quite a few other little projects over there. So the construction crew is really ramped up and going pretty strong. And Bill has already talked a little bit about the athletic fields. They're getting to the point of being almost complete. So we're excited about that. Other things I want to talk about, the reopening plan. I know that we're all waiting for Governor Holcomb to announce on July 1 or around that time exactly what we're looking at in the fall. But at this point in time, Dr. Stokes has worked on about 5 different options to reopen our schools. And we'll be meeting with the principals in the next week or so to talk about those options, depending on whether we're coming back with e-learning again, or we're coming back with some kind of a hybrid, bringing a few kids in at a time, or we're coming in full force. Also, whatever those options are, if there's still the threat of the COVID virus, we all know that there's going to be a financial burden to us because of the different steps we need to take to clean the buildings every day, to make sure we have PPE. Also, we're going to have to determine how many teachers can return at that time. So there's a lot that goes into these reopening plans. So we're touching on all those areas. So when somebody says, oh, just open the buildings, well, it's not quite that easy. There's a lot of work that has to go into that. And finally, I just wanted to end with some really kind of nice things that are happening in our district. I know Elliott last week had a parade for their students to send off the 5th graders. So the teachers were out waving at the kids as they came through the parking lot. And Mrs. Bevel is now taking on a side job. She's going to be a pizza delivery person because she's got some kind of contest going on. I almost wanted to participate in it, but it's a contest for parents and kids that whoever wins, she's going to deliver a pizza to their house. So that's kind of exciting. So we got some just fun things going on in the district, even while everybody's still at home. So that's what I have to report this month.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Hendricks. Our announcements: the next regular school board meeting will be held on June 8th, 2020, 7 p.m. in person or virtual. Stay tuned. Adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. John Doherty.
Castro, second.
Badly, Melissa. I think you have to do the roll call.
John Castro.
Aye, and log out when you're done.
Got it. John Doherty.
Aye.
You're muted, John.
Not again.
Gotcha. I gotcha. All right, I can hear you. Oh, now you're muted. Unmute.
I might have slipped on that one. I would.
John Doherty.
Aye.
Gotcha. Melissa Higginson, aye. Ronna Stojic. Ron.
He's muted.
Aye.
Ron, you're muted.
Now he's back.
Ron.
Saying aye.
You're so close, Ron.
Come on, Ron. All right, you know what? Ron. Hi. Okay, good. Aye, got it. Okay, Ingrid Schwartzwald.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Tomorrow.